new babe.
So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now for me, back in the day, right? When you were younger, watching horror movies, scary movies, whatever, right? When they throw the whole based upon a true story, I used to be like, man, they just trying to make it extra scary. They just trying to make it that. They just trying to throw a little bit more sauce on it to make it, you know what I mean? Sell a few more box office or sell a few more videos and, you know what I mean? Make a little bit more money, make it more real life. But as I grew older and started, you know what I mean, diving into different stories or the history of different things, I was like, I was maybe a little naive to some of those based upon. Now, you know, they have to embellish to make it, you know, make people enjoy the movie, sit through the movie, have be entertained. So I get that whole part of it, you know what I'm saying? And plus, you know, for legal purposes, you can't really, certain things you can't really display or say. So you got to figure out how to make this whole thing work in the entertainment world. So this video here is 5 horror movies based on true, terrifying events. All right, so let's check this out.
It's easy to sit back in the comfort of your own home or the cinema and watch a scary movie, knowing full well you can later tell yourself in bed that it was all just a film and didn't really happen. But what if you couldn't tell yourself that because...
Yo, this used to be my kid. Loved to watch scary movies, but then as it's time to shut down, he like, so where is everybody going? We going to bed, bro. Huh? Why we gotta go to bed now? Why does everybody want to go to bed? Nah, man, let's stay up. Let's enjoy each other's company. Nah, fam, you shouldn't have asked to watch this movie.
Because the movie was in fact based on true terrifying events. Well, here are 5 horror movies where that is actually the case. Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Most will have heard of the infamous Ed Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield. But if you haven't, then you should know that a few movies have been based on this man, the 2 most popular being Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I will talk about together. It all started in Plainfield, Wisconsin, when for years neighbours of the small community had suspected something was just not quite right about Ed, and thought that strange things were going on at his property. Kids would mess around and see how close they could get to his creepy old farmhouse.
Now look at that house right there, bro. Don't that look normal? Surrounded by this, looks like maybe snow out there, or maybe it's just a black and white picture that makes it look like that. But that looks like a typically normal house. Could be, you know what I mean? A few houses down from you. Could be a mile away from you. You might pass by a house like this every day. Look how normal that looks.
And he was labelled as the village oddball, but was always considered as a harmless man. That was until people started going missing, including the deputy sheriff's mother. Gein was the first suspect and his farm was searched and the true evil was revealed. Amongst his possessions were 4 noses, 9 masks made from human skin, numerous decapitated heads, lampshades made from skin, bowls made from skin and skulls, lips being used as a pull on window blinds, leggings made from skin and a belt made from nipples. Gein was arrested and later admitted to 2 murders, including the deputy's mother, who was found gutted like an animal in Gein's shed. All the other body parts were the result of Gein raiding the nearby cemeteries and digging up bodies late at night.
Hold on. Oh, bro, you gotta be a special person and just randomly go to a cemetery and it's like, they probably got a skull in there I could use for a lamp. They got a skull in there I could use for a pole. Maybe they got something in there. Let's dig this. What? What? No. And the thing, he has a family, so he's somebody's relative.
Police further searched his home and said it was filthy and there was rubbish all over the house, except for a few boarded up areas, one of which was his dead mother's room. After his mother died, Gein was devastated, and this is thought to be the main cause of his crimes. Despite the truly filthy house, his mother's old room was eerily kept in a pristine condition just as she left it. So when Alfred Hitchcock made Psycho, he based it on the very disturbing novel written by Robert Bloch, who lived within 35 miles of Gein's farm and was aware of what had happened there. After Robert picked up the details of Gein's crimes, about Gein wearing clothing made from women's skin so he could feel closer to his dead mother, Robert got the idea for Norman Bates and his obsession with his dead mother in the major hit movie. So, as well as Psycho, how was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre linked to Gein? Well, most of the movie sequels state inspired by true events, and although no single character is based on Gein, the family in the films who abduct passers-by, torture then kill them and use their body parts as decorations is linked to Gein's crimes. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's skin mask is linked to Gein's mask made from female heads, and one of his victims, Mary Hogan, whose face was found in a paper bag in Ed's home. The horrors found in Ed Gein's home are up there as the most disturbing acts ever committed, and unfortunately the small town of Wisconsin will forever be linked to those horrifying events that I'm sure will continue to inspire future horror movies, books, and documentaries.
See, in our household, we have a little saying that says, they don't make nothing that isn't based on or doesn't come from some sort of truth somewhere. You know what I mean? So we say that when we look at certain horror movies. We say that when we look at certain alien type movies. We say it comes from some kind of truth somewhere. Even if it's a small little bit, it had to derive from something. So think about that. Just let that sink in.
In 1977,
Ooh.
Wes Craven released a movie called The Hills of Eyes. At the time, it enjoyed moderate success at the box office and has become a cult classic horror movie, which sparked the remake that most of us will be familiar with in 2006, followed by 2 more sequels. The original and the 2006 Hills of Eyes tells the story of a family on a road trip that becomes stranded in an atomic testing zone miles from anyone and anything. But soon the family find out that the area is in fact inhabited by a deformed cannibalistic family intent on making them their next prey. The film itself seems too far-fetched to be based on anything that did happen, but it is actually based on Alexander Sawney Bean and his family. Alexander was born a few miles from the city of Edinburgh, and later went on to become the head of a Scottish clan who lived with around 14 children and 32 grandchildren, all from incest. They all lived in a cave sometime during the 16th and 17th century, and had a complete lack of communication with the outside world. During this period, hundreds of people travelling through the area near this cave would often go missing, and Sawney Bean and his family were responsible for this. They would ambush the unsuspecting victims, rob and murder them, then take them back to their cave where they would cut them up and pickle their limbs for future consumption. All in all, the family is thought to have killed and eaten over 1,000 men, women and children who wandered through their location. But it wasn't just the living they preyed on. It's reported that bodies from graveyards near the area were regularly dug up and the bodies were removed. Most were never found again, but one time 3 were apparently found hidden near the graveyard they had been taken from. It's said the bodies were in an undescribable state and had been dumped by the family as they must have been unable to carry them back to the cave. The Beans' horrendous acts carried on for around 25 years, until it finally came to an end when the husband of one of their victims managed to escape and alert the authorities. The word got all the way up to King James I himself, and he led an army to the family's cave, which was hidden during high tide, and they discovered the true horror of 25 years worth of filthy living and cannibalism. They found body parts hung up like dried beef, pickled limbs, and masses of money and jewellery from their victims. Such outrageous crimes demanded an equally outrageous punishment. The men had their manhood cut off and flung into a fire. Their wives and children had their faces, hands and legs cut off and were left to bleed to death, and then they were all burnt in several fires. The whole family were considered mutant monsters due to the amount of inbreeding, and this is shown in the movie The Hills of Eyes, along with a very similar storyline. So that is the story behind the movie. Now, although some argue the family's existence due to a lack of factual documents, there are many records in notable publications to suggest the family did in fact exist. The 2011 film The Rite, starring Anthony Hopkins.
Hold on before we go to the next one, bro. Oh, that was a lot. Like, what do you... He's driving along. Hey, man, we out here, middle of nowhere, pass by, gotta pull over, somebody need to use the bathroom. Then all of a sudden we ambushed from some people out of a cave that have been doing this for 25 years. Oh, man, kind of makes that next vacation where you want to just, the vacation where you get with the family, you be like, oh, man, let's just say we drive from Georgia to California and we just want to stop along the way at different things, sightsee and stuff like that. No, fam. Drive straight through. You pull over, we leaving you. I don't care. You better hold it to the next gas station, whatever it is. Nah, no way.
Tells the story of the son of a funeral director who has a lack of faith, so is advised to travel to Italy to take an exorcism course in hopes of strengthening his faith in Christianity. Whilst there, he witnesses exorcisms being performed firsthand, but is still not convinced until something takes over one of his mentors and he is forced to perform an exorcism himself. If you think the film isn't scary enough, then the fact it's based on the Matt Baglio book, The Rite, The Making of a Modern-Day Exorcist, makes it even more terrifying. The book covers the believed real-life events of trainee exorcist Father Gary Thomas and his experiences of working and training in Rome. He was initially skeptical when he was sent to Rome to learn to become an exorcist, but this initial skepticism was soon replaced with the reality of evil as he witnessed first-hand demonic possession. His mentor in Italy was Father Carmine, and during his apprenticeship, Father Thomas and he attended dozens of demonic battling rites. One particular incident he remembers was a lady called Lisa who was brought in by a worried family members that were concerned about her violent outbursts. Father Thomas said he felt a huge presence in the room as he started to pray. Lisa's face started to distort and she started speaking in a different language. She was hissing and spitting and taking on a strange look. Her eyes were rolling, and as Father Thomas laid his crucifix on her, she let out an excruciating scream. He placed his scarf on her and she tried to slide away from it until the father said, "That's enough for today." In the film, a similar sequence is played out by a woman who is possessed. She acts in a similar way, except she spits out metal nails. Father Thomas says he has never witnessed this himself, but it was told to him by another priest who apparently witnessed 7 black nails be vomited up by a possessed woman. Father Thomas acted as a consultant on the film The Rite and admitted that, like most movies based on true events, some things have been dramatized, but he said the exorcisms in the film were very accurate.
That's twice today we done talked about exorcisms. You see how that worked, man? I don't like that. I don't like that. It's like once you mention something, now all of a sudden you keep seeing it. I shouldn't have did that. I feel like I just opened Pandora's box right now. Jeez.
It was released in 1991, The Silence of the Lambs was an instant hit. It won a ton of awards, and for most people, it's one of their favorite horror movies of all time. It's the story of an FBI
Put the lotion in the basket.
student who was assigned to interview Hannibal Lecter, a cannibalistic serial killer and former psychiatrist who could help in the pursuit of a serial killer who skins his victims. While the film's 3 main characters are actually based on real people, 2 of which committed some of the world's most heinous crimes. And here are the people who Silence of the Lambs writer Thomas Harris used for his inspiration for the book, which the movie was made of. Thomas Harris was able to study the FBI's newly established behavior science unit, and the unit was exploring psychological profiling to pursue killers. It was here where Harris looked at the possibility of a female profiler and met Pat Kirby. 3 years after he met her, Pat became the first female to join the behavior science unit, giving Harris the inspiration for Clarice Starling of the same job role in Silence of the Lambs. Now he needed a killer who turned out to be Hannibal Lecter, an intelligent, polite, and very manipulative killer that was inspired by Ted Bundy, the murderer, sadistic rapist, and necrophile who killed at least 36 people in the night.
I never knew he used Ted Bundy as the muse for that movie. I didn't know that. We done dived all into his background and looked at his videos. Ted Bundy was sick, to say the least.
1970s. Finally, The Silence of the Lambs needed one more character, Buffalo Bill, the fictional psychopath who chose larger ladies as his victims. He would trap them in a pit in his cellar and starve them, making them rub oil into their skin in preparation for when he killed them, so he could use their supple skin to make dresses for himself. It sounds horrific and also sounds similar to Ed Gein's crimes. Well, this character was based off Ed Gein. As you know, Ed would use the skin from dead females to make items, such as socks and a vest from the skin of a woman's torso, which is thought he would wear around the house pretending to be a woman. The Shining. In 1983, horror author Stephen King checked into the Stanley Hotel in Colorado.
They need to do is there a video out there? I said they need to do it, might already exist. Is there a video out there just somebody really diving into the mind of Stephen King? Like, he should be watched at all times just for the stuff that he's put out. You know what I'm saying? And the stuff that he likes to either read up on and then make a movie out of or a book out of, whatever. Like, we need to know everything about. We need to check his home. He should have like random audits of his home every 6 months.
He checked in for one night and him and his wife were the only guests staying there. As you can imagine, it's a huge place, so being the only guest there is a scary thought. They were booked into room 217 and King and his wife had the run of the hotel. As he was wandering the empty halls, he allegedly got the feeling that they were not alone after all. He said he encountered some ghostly children wandering around and also witnessed a party in the ballroom attended by paranormal beings. King's feeling of seclusion while staying at the hotel, and how he believes silence could trick the mind, leading to paranoia, fear, and violence, was the inspiration behind the iconic horror novel The Shining, and subsequently the blockbuster movie. So let's look at the history of the Stanley Hotel. It was opened in 1909 by Flora and Freeland Oscar Stanley, and was and still is a secluded Grand Mountain resort. But although the Stanleys have since long passed, it's said they never actually left. Mr. Stanley has been reported as standing behind employees at the reception desk, and Mrs. Stanley is often heard playing the piano in the hotel's music room. Just 3 years after the hotel opened, one of the housekeepers was apparently electrocuted during a lightning storm, and even though she wasn't killed, the room where it happened, number 217, has since been the subject of many paranormal incidents. It's thought that every room in the hotel has some sort of strange happenings though, from items moving on their own, lights turning on and off, and clothes being unpacked from suitcases. And on the 4th floor of the hotel, the sound of children running and giggling can be heard. The large ballroom where Stephen King saw The Paranormal Party is also the place where many workers and guests have heard loud music and talking, only to find no one there when they have gone to investigate. Now, I know a lot of you are not fussed on ghost hunters, but in 2006 they caught an interesting piece of footage. That's really the best believed paranormal footage caught at the Stanley Hotel, so I can't help but show it. One of their main investigators, Jason, was staying in the room 401, which is infamous for its activity, while a camera in the room caught a glass cracking and breaking by itself, and also a cabinet door opening and then closing. But what's interesting about it closing is that it latches shut, which is something the team and the hotel workers said is just not possible. Take a look.
It's 5:30, I'm figuring I'm gonna stay asleep.
Oh.
As you can see, I'm still trying to wake up at this time, not really sure what's happened.
Listen, I'm not sure what happened. This glass actually broke.
The glass broke?
Here's a piece.
Wow.
I heard the closet open. Closet door is open. I'm gonna put the camera on the table next to me so you guys know. All right.
Oh man.
Do you want to see that again?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
My hair is standing on end.
Did you hear the door latch?
Yeah.
All right. Pretty door closed.
Anytime you want
That's the all right. Freaking door closed. Time to go.
to head upstairs and try to shut that door and make it latch, feel free.
It won't do it?
It won't do it.
Yeah.
I tried to slam that door as hard as I can because I'm here to try to solve solve what's going on. You can turn the handle and put it in and let it loose, but you shut it. You could swing it shut as hard as you want. So
That definitely caught my attention because I know that door doesn't latch.
Pretty strange, and that's why the hotel is said to be one of the most haunted places in America.
All right, who ready to ride up wherever it is and stay there? That's a group. Let's get a group of us and go do it. Who with me? Who with me? Y'all let me know in the comment section.
But although the hotel was Stephen King's inspiration and his vision for The Shining, the actual film was not filmed at the Stanley Hotel. Much to the disappointment of King, most of it was filmed in a studio in London, with the exterior shots taken at Timberline Lodge in Oregon. But Stephen King did return to the hotel in the 1990s and filmed a mini-series that he felt was more visually true to the book. And if you do ever check into the Stanley, both the film and the mini-series can be viewed on a non-stop loop on the hotel's channel 42, if you are brave enough to watch it in your room.
I was just about to say, I ain't watching that there. No!
So that's 5, well technically 6 horror movies that are based on true events and people. Now, although some are only loosely based on true stories, it's a terrifying thought nonetheless. If you're wondering why a few movies didn't make it, such as The Exorcist, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and Annabelle, that's because I've already talked about them in previous videos. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying the...
We're gonna have to check that out. But I was familiar with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. Silence of the Lambs, I can't really remember if I knew that was based on, but the other 3, no, I didn't know that at all. I knew about Psycho and Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't know the story behind it, but I knew based upon, because I think at one of those Texas Chainsaw Massacres, it says it at the beginning based on a true event. I'm not too familiar or can remember if Psycho says that based on the true events. I forgot how. I think it might have been my parents that told me the possible stories around. But you hear so many different stories. You don't know which one is true. You just know it's based upon something true. So this did a good job of honing it, narrowing in on that, telling the stories behind this. This was super dope though. But I think I'm done hearing about exorcisms for today. That's enough. All right. Y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all thought of this video. And stick around and stay tuned to the next reaction. I'm out. Peace.